Your Excellency, thank you for joining us today on China-Africa Talk.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Now, Your Excellency, you are the SADC Executive Secretary. What is your agenda during the FOCAC and what are your expectations?
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be talking to you today. I'm here attending FOCAC for the first time. So my agenda here, one is to learn about the forum itself, what it covers, what it does since it was incepted, but more importantly, what value it can bring to SADC, which is our REC, Regional Economic Committee. We understand that FOCAC has worked very, very closely with member states, 16 member states from our region. They engage with China bilaterally. But for us, it's important to build those bilateral relationships into a regional program. So I'm here keenly to find out the FOCAC itself, but also China's agenda. China's agenda primarily with connection to the world and with connection to Africa. We happen to be part of Africa on the south, so China's cooperation is critical in that regard. The Belt and Road Initiative, I'm here to understand how it finds itself in FOCAC and how we can use both of them collaboratively with our region. We've got a SADC strategic plan, regional indicative strategic plan, which has very, very important aspirations of where we want to go on integration. And we see a connection with the Belt and Road Initiative in terms of what what China wants to achieve. So that's why I'm here, first to learn and to understand how these initiatives of China can support us. And I think the third and last one is we have a relationship with China through our embassy in Botswana. Right. They are also accredited to SADC. So it's important that I build and enhance the relationships beyond the embassy, but also to engage with the government. So in a nutshell, that's my agenda being here.
You have a big role. You have Indeed. A big role to play.
Indeed.
Okay. SADC is made out of 16 countries. Yes. And you recently inaugurated Zimbabwe as the current chair of the SADC. Now, what role does Zimbabwe play in cementing the FOCAC, SADC, and China relations?
Yes.
All in that.
SADC has got a very laid out structure that when a chair assumes the role, we expect a continuity or continuation of the agenda. The agenda is broad, as I said, the strategy and our vision 2050. So every chairperson that comes in just advances the same agenda. And as I was saying, so the chair, Zimbabwe now assuming the chair, is to continue that agenda. But the beauty with Zimbabwe assuming the chair at this time is that the strategy and the focus is on industrialization by the region and all the member states. You realize or recognize that the majority of our products that are produced are in raw form, and we actually export them in that regard, and we buy them from elsewhere when they are finished products. So SADC as a region has now decided we are going to industrialize. If we are producing minerals, we must do the entire chain. If we are producing agricultural produce, it must be the entire chain. Whatever product we are producing, we must make sure that we add value to it. Zimbabwe is a country that when we started the strategy, 2014, they were the chair of SADC.
Okay.
Now, President Mnangagwa is assuming the chair at this critical time when Zimbabwe is actually leading on national industrialization. So he's there to lead and drive and lead by example and show the other leaders that we can actually do this. So a lot of minerals now, they are processing them in-house. They are producing food for themselves. They are also replacing food that most of the time is imported into the country. When we do this, we ensure that we're able to retain jobs in country. We're not exporting jobs. So this is the agenda that we expect Zimbabwe to lead. The second, peace and security still remains an important focus for us. You can industrialize, you cannot bring foreign direct investment if the environment is not peaceful. You cannot expect FDIs to put their money in an environment that is insecure. So peace and security is critical. He's going to continue to advance peace in the areas where we do have missions. We are closing a mission in Mozambique. We have started a mission in DRC. So he's going to oversee that together with the chairperson of the organ, President of Tanzania. So this is an important function of a chair when they assume the role of chairing SADC. The third is just really to grow the cooperation and partnership between SADC and the rest of the world. The international cooperating partners, your funding institutions, your World Bank, IMF, and the likes of China. The reason why we are here in China. So a chair like Zimbabwe plays this critical role and continues to advance our agenda.
It's interesting that you mentioned the whole issue of industrialization, because I've been hearing a lot of African voices stressing on what they want to shift to industrialization.
Yes.
And China could play a role in adding more value to our raw materials, it would create more jobs as well.
By all means, China is so advanced in terms of industries and industrialization, and what better partner than them to come and actually work and partner with us. So when we partner with China, which has walked through this thing for ages, they can actually bring that value and add it to us. Not only that, when we finish the products, China becomes a very ready market for these products that it can actually consume with its population size. So we see a lot of mutual benefit. The learning, the experiences, the skills that we'll get from China, in addition to resources that might be required. But also when we now dispose or sell those products, China, as we continue to trade, we trade with China with the same products that we are using. So it's an important aspect.
Okay. Where are the areas for opportunity for Southern Africa, for the Southern African region and the whole continent at large? What is the SADC looking to take out from the FOCAC?
Yes. One is to understand the agenda of China. And I think, having gone briefly through some of the documentation, the modernization agenda, particularly the Belt and Road, which is primarily infrastructure, we do have priority projects in SADC, and the majority of them are infrastructure based. We cannot enhance trade, we cannot integrate unless we focus on infrastructure. So infrastructure is an enabling vehicle for all these things to be achieved. The Belt and Road actually achieves this, or is an agenda of China to actually drive this. They've already started the process. So SADC has to benefit from this, and it's important that we are here and our voice is heard and we engage at the highest level, so that when we go back, China can also now engage more deeper with us to drive some of those infrastructure work. It's also to enhance this aspect of peace and security. I didn't mention earlier on that China has partnered with us through the African Union. When we were in Mozambique, they actually gave us equipment that we use through the Cameroon Douala base there. So we're able to use that in Mozambique. We are now using the same equipment in the DRC. And some of it, when we finish the missions, we are going to put it in our logistics base. So they're also playing a critical role to make sure that the whole world is safe and our part of the world is safe. So we are continually thankful for this support. So, but for us, infrastructure is critical, because when we have infrastructure, that industrialization that I spoke about, it becomes easier to do that. We still have to connect power grids across the region, as I said. We still have to build ports for our member states that have got ports, so that we can link with the Far East much easily, much quicker. This is where we think the benefit can come from the FOCAC.
Your Excellency, China maintains sound relations with most members of SADC. Total trade with those countries exceeds $100 billion in 2022, accounting for more than 1/3 of the China-Africa trade volume in that year. What do these ties mean for cooperation among the global South?
That figure of 1/3 is not child's play. It tells one that this is an important relationship. So one aspect is to make sure that this relationship is nurtured and protected, because it's beneficial for both partners, both China and the SADC region. We are part of Africa, obviously, but 1/3 is not a small amount. So it means this is a region that is important to China. And it's important that the relationship is enhanced, if at all, if not only maintained, but it should be enhanced to preserve and protect this.
SADC aims to develop an open, inclusive economy toward regional economic integration. Now, how does that align with the China proposed idea of community with a shared future?
Our Vision 2050, SADC 2050, advocates for prosperity for all. There is inclusivity. That means everybody plays a part. And our current chair, President Mnangagwa, speaks often of saying, leave no one and nobody behind. So this resonates well with the China aspiration as well, that's saying inclusivity. We believe all citizens of our region should benefit and should feel that they actually benefit. It's one thing to make pronouncements. It's quite another that they're actually benefiting and they see tangible benefits. If it's health, if it's education, if it's road infrastructure, they are feeling it. They are benefiting from this. So the partnership that can actually grow from China and SADC based on the two aspirations that are very similar, we can actually do and achieve more. So it brings us together. It's almost like a glue that says you've got similar aspiration, you've got similar aspiration. I think China wants, when it partners with the others, they are also looking for that openness where there's inclusivity, everybody benefits, and the prosperity is for all and is shared across the board.
Could you briefly shed some light on how China's relations with the SADC region have brought changes in Southern Africa since the inaugural meeting of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in the year 2000?
I think anybody who has their eyes open and move around the region and the continent, you will see there are a lot of infrastructure development in different sectors, whether it's in the energy sector, in the water sector, in the road sector, and many others. And oftentimes when you ask the question, it has been a partnership between those countries and China. And what is interesting about the Chinese government or the Chinese is that they don't often make statements. You don't hear, you just see either a road has been developed or what particular infrastructure have developed, a dam has been developed and so forth. So these things are visible. They are telling us that indeed this is a partner that not only speaks but actually delivers and shows quality projects. So we see for us there are a lot of those quality projects from roads. We now have dams that have been built, we have major structures that have been done, hospitals and so forth in our part of the region, and I think across the entire continent. So this is a true partner to Africa. This is a true partner to SADC, and we can actually benefit a lot more from this.
China has invested heavily in Africa under the Belt and Road Initiative, and you've made a lot of mention of that. Now, how do you think its investment models has worked with the Southern Africa and the rest of the continent?
Yes. I think somewhat it has benefited the member states, and they are seeing, I think you've heard Africa talking in the last couple of years, talking about we need investors, we need aid providers that are recognizing our uniqueness as African countries, that recognize the challenges, economic development challenges in our part of the world. And here I'm talking about your Brentwood institutions and so forth, who member states in Africa feel they are not appreciating those challenges when they are offering this aid with funding and the terms that come with this. It's slightly different with China. China is able to say we work together and we develop terms that member states feel comfortable. They feel they can actually work with those and develop. And I think it's not surprising why I said earlier you see this vast development of infrastructure in the continent, and mostly driven by the Chinese government vis-a-vis driven by the other funding partner. So this is a telltale sign that the model is working very well. This framework is working very well. But I think China is open because they are engaging. They are not coming in imposing themselves. They are here as partners to work together and listen to the member states, which is slightly different And I think that's a critical aspect as well with the framework that they have.
Excellency, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time as well.
This is CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.